Wargaming. Game, survive, win.
What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Oxygen Not Included, and likely the final episode of this series from this Frozen pack. And actually, I do have to apologise for such a long time between. I did go on vacation, and then I've been very poorly for quite a while. So apologies for the delay there. There were some other items in between, of course, but getting back to this one was a bit difficult. Now, we are planning on ending it here, hopefully. There is a new patch out. You can see what I'm looking at now is I need to dig down into this map, or into this asteroid, past this barrier of lava where the normal resources lie, to try and get to them. Now, what I do need is things like diamond and obsidian in the future to make the final part of the completion, which is the statue. To do that, I couldn't think of any other way of digging through this lava safely than dumping something on it to cool it down. Water, we have a lot of. So what I decided to do was pipe in, that I've just showed you, a simple system that pumps the water in there, drops it down, and as you can see, it's immediately turning into steam and evaporating away. Now, rest assured, the fact that it's evaporating away into steam means that it's cooling down. Eventually, over time, we should be able to get some dupes down here to build walls, etc. And I'm just making a thin tunnel straight through it, which will be insulated on either side. Nothing too fancy, and I will have to probably get some atmo suits involved as well to stop them from dying, because it's still going to be warm, likely, but of course, we just need to get through. And there you go, as you can see, I actually switched over. I ran out of liquid, or at least I ran out of liquid I was willing to throw away, so instead I am using ice. Now, this will work better, but it will take a little bit longer, because of course the ice has got to melt first. There was plenty of ice that was using for water, and actually we've got plenty of resources. I've just cleared out that there. You can see all the scaffolding I had to build to do so. And the idea here is I'm just going to dump all of this ice, anything that's liquefactable, into there. So brine, polluted ice, I don't care. Snow even, if we've got any. Drop it in. At the minute it doesn't look like it's working, but it will, because eventually that ice is going to thaw into a liquid, immediately, not combust, but immediately sublimate into steam. That steam will then cool it down, and we should make it even further. If the ice doesn't fully melt, it will drop down as we dig. As you can see, I'm taking it block by block. I don't want the insulation to touch the lava if I can help it, although it does look like it's touching there. But it doesn't appear to cause too many issues so far. The ladders are separated just to try and help the heat not conduct across each other. If they're all connected, it will slowly seep up the ladders. Even with the atmo suits on, you can see there is a very basic atmo suit station. That allows them to support up to about 200-ish, is it? 250, something like that. But of course, it's pushing sort of 500-600 degrees there, so they still have to be pretty quick. But at least they can breathe. Now, although I wasn't planning on going over to the second asteroid, I thought I'd have a quick look just to see if there's anything that is game-changing that will help us out here. We are actually trying to complete this now, right? The solution here for this playthrough was just to survive, which we've done. Liquids and stuff, just there's so much ice around us that I'm not worried about running out of things like that, and then such, that means the oxygen as well. So coming over to this asteroid just to have a look at what it has, just to try and make it ever so slightly simpler, because of course I wasn't at this time sure if I was going to actually be able to dig through the lava and make a tunnel. Now, of course, the idea should work in theory, but how much liquid I already underestimated, and then the amount of ice, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. So the point is that this was just putting an extra egg in a basket in case. Then I would say, well, actually, we can use this asteroid. But the idea was that we wasn't going to be using rockets or anything in this one. Throwing out the extra person, so that makes us up to 13 in total. Now, we only need 12, and 12 to complete the quest, but obviously the free person's a free person, right? And what we're about to do, obviously rushing now to get the tunnel through the lava dome to any resources that we can steal from here, if possible. Spoiler, we don't need to use this asteroid, but for now we don't know that. So just giving them a basic amenities, a bed, we need to give them a toilet, and then just dig out some resources so that they've actually got things to actually make said buildings. So you need some sort of filtration to use the toilet, so you need to make sure you dig that up, otherwise the toilet won't work. And then some random rock just to do a bit of building to build exactly what I'm putting down now, which is some floor to get down to these areas. Again, very basic, very simple. The idea here is as well that I'm trying to get some data disks because we need to get to that end goal of the monument, which at the minute is the furthest point away. And to be honest, the second asteroid really doesn't provide many. Even if you investigate everything or inspect everything, you probably get about 15. And we need about 300, so it is going to be the rocket doing it for us out of orbit. You can see there, the bottom section is just the pixel thing that we need to do, but still require quite a decent amount of that for it to complete. So the rocket platform is straightforward. In terms of what we're going to use, I'm going to use what we have. Sugar rocket, because you can see there on the right hand side we have 25.6 tons of sucrose, which has come from the trees, I believe, the nectar trees, which is good because a sugar rocket is more than capable of doing what we need. In fact, all rockets can go to orbit, so that's a pointless statement, but it gets us there. So we're going to need the sugar rocket, we're going to need an oxidizer, which will be fertilizer because it will be the easiest one we have, because we'll already have it, no doubt, because you can dig it up. We will then need a cabin, of course, for the dupe to live in, a battery, a solar panel just in case, because they are going to be stopping in orbit, and the nose cone. So that's the very basic rocket done. In the cabin, we then need to put in the research machine. I can't remember exactly what it's called. We'll get there, don't worry. But that is the machine then that they use, and they turn plastic into data disks. And yes, that means we need plastic. And I think for the first time ever, doing a playthrough, I haven't used Drecos, though I don't think I've seen them. So without Drecos, we don't get glossy Drecos, which means we don't get free plastic. So I am going to have to make it. And to make plastic, we're going to need oil. And yes, you guessed it, we don't have any oil yet. So there is a long chain of items that need to happen over this episode that all will lead to the same goal, and that is building the monument. Now, there are a few things that the monument need that I didn't know, and we can say them now because it's not going to hurt anybody, because you probably already know, because I've never built one before. So we're going to need obsidian, we're going to need diamond, and we're going to need glass. Now, obsidian, diamond, and oil are all kind of in the same area, so I'm not worried about that. Obsidian is all over where the lava is, so as we're digging this tunnel, we're going to get that. The final thing is glass. To be honest, it's not too difficult. It's sand in a glass furnace, makes liquid glass, and then you just drop it somewhere and it will solidify. Don't have to wait for it to cool down because we're just going to be picking it up, chucking it straight into the building. So all in all, the checklist for this episode and to complete this series, or at least to complete the game, actually, because it is the one that we started with, is now said and done. We now need to crack on with it. The guys on this island, as you can see, they're just cleaning up a little bit. Again, they are irrelevant, so for those of you that are saying that I said I wouldn't do this, because I'm pretty sure I did say that. Again, this was just as an emergency, and as it turns out, it's not relevant because we don't use it. So I'll just send them home. And one's going back already, as you can see. So, as I said that, perfect timing, actually, for me doing the overview here. But yeah, you need to wait a couple more days, cycles, for it to recharge to send over the new guy, Rowan. So back to the rocket, and you can see I'm using the emergency or level 10 priority here. Because, although I knew I was building a rocket, and the rocket platform's been there for a while now, I didn't actually remember that I needed to put in power lines, piping for the liquids, or more specifically, water. And then, of course, the gas for the oxygen to fill up said capsule. Yes, I've built a lot of rockets. You've probably seen me do that before, but I forgot. It has been a while, though, so that's probably why I'm going to use that as an excuse. Ceramic required as well, of course, because you need ceramic to make some of the parts of the rocket. The nose cone, I believe. And there's just a few items that I've not actually bothered with because I've not needed them up until this point. Getting refined metal was quite easy from the start, and I've been using that for everything up until this point. The nose cone, however, needs ceramic. Now, we have plenty of clay because we had lots of the old-fashioned toilets, the outhouses as they're called. They then get turned into the ceramic, so it's not too difficult to do. But we just need to wait for that to process, and then we should see it. Of course, you can cheese it if you have the old portal, the printer, and you can re-roll until you get something on there. But remember, you have to have had the item before it actually shows up on the printer, so you can't actually get the item from there. So that is the solar panel, well, the engine, the solar panel, battery, now an oxidizer, and the Wayfarer to transport. All it needs is the nose cone, and that rocket is complete. We'll then need to do the interior of said rocket. And we are getting ever deeper and deeper. In terms of it not touching, it's not possible because I need to actually dig it like, so it's going to be a wall and hold it back. It doesn't actually seem to cause any issues though with the whole, the actual insulation is going to hold off very well the heat. So I need to wait for that ice, and as you can see it's negative 4.32 degrees now. So very close, and then when that obviously melts, it will then create another patch, and then we'll keep digging. We are getting close. Abyssalite is the final goal. That dark stuff black there to the left hand side of that is of course obsidian, as I mentioned, so obsidian that we'll need later on isn't going to be a problem. We've just got to hope that we've got things like diamond and oil down below us. Also, I need some natural gas, but if there's oil, there's natural gas, so that's fine. The natural gas is then going to be used for the cooker to make the peppered bread. The 16 morel food that I've been using since, well, the plan was to use it, which is what the farms are set up for. The idea is that, of course, if we give them 16 morel food, they'll have 16 morel, and that quest is complete, so it's easy. But to cook it, you need a running hob gas cooker thing, and at the minute we don't have any of the natural gas present to run it. Just going to try and dig down here to see if we've got any oil or anything on this map. Again, the whole point here was to have a just in case, and we'll get that done. Again, I've already mentioned though that we don't stay here, so that obviously as that spoiler makes into this spoiler that this map is pretty useless in terms of the resources we actually need. And jumping a bit now, 10 cycles or so, 11 cycles in the future. You can see we actually did dig through there as I planned. It worked, it just took a long time. I mean, as you say, 10 cycles. And in doing so, we've got down to here. The water that we had from the ice, you can see that water there is what we used to dig our way down. And then we managed to get there. On the asteroid, you can see it goes straight into a lava, which, unless we're going to dig through that lava pit, we're obviously not going to have any oil. And we're not doing that. We can't do that. We don't have the infrastructure to do so, so just send him home. So with 14 duplicates, obviously 13 on the asteroid, 1 is not in space, but is working on the shuttle, which is why it's showing so. Yeah, you can see we don't actually need the asteroid at all. At home, the rocket is good to go. The battery is charged. The setup hopefully is completed to the point that we need it to be. You can see the plastic production now, which is the oil that we're fetching from down below, as we saw just previously. I've chucked them in here. I did have them lower. They wasn't working though because they just overheated because of the vacuum of space. So they need to have a gas around them to help them stay cool. I built 2 because I'm in a rush. And we need about 2.5 tons. The room is simple, though not pretty because I couldn't be bothered. Or we don't have time, more importantly. But you can see there is a bathroom, there is an eating room or a mess hall, the control panel, and then the actual bedroom has the plastic to disk, data disk made. And all that happens is they will put plastic in the machine, turn it into a disk, put plastic in the machine, turn it into a disk. And then, of course, they will get their breaks and sleeps, etc. as normal. I'm not going to force them to do slave labour. That is not fair. And off they go. So there you can see Camille now, most important duplicate at the minute, because without these data disks we can't learn the research that we need to do anything else. And she's going to be doing that for a decent amount of time. We need around 300. We have plenty of plastic to do so. We have plenty of food and just amenities. I will bring it down in gaps so that we can make sure we top up liquids, drop off liquids, top up oxygen, etc. to keep that pressure, because I've got no way of taking out the carbon dioxide that will settle at the bottom. So the best thing to do is just to throw in oxygen to make sure the oxygen stays high pressure and keep that carbon dioxide pressed to the bottom for as long as possible. 95% of the time she's working in there, as you can see, she will be on that top layer, either sleeping, eating, or working. The only time there's an issue with her potentially having breathing issues is when obviously she goes down to the toilet. Farm's struggling because I'm struggling for and I say the farms are struggling. The cold farms are struggling. So I need to look at that. Now, resource-wise, I do have a lot already. But you can see we've actually run out of food as well, which is catastrophic. We've run out of food and the farms aren't growing. Now, most of the food that we're growing isn't actually for our consumption. The pineapples at the top can be eaten by the duplicants and should be in an emergency, which this is. But they, of course, are not very... Well, they're very few and far between. The sleet wheat is not cold enough. The plums are not cold enough, which therefore the behemoths anyway, I guess. So that's not that big a deal. But, yeah. We need more coolant. And coolant we shall have. But I did bring the ship down because there was some food in the ship. And I thought, well, at least then they're not going to starve to death and I'm not going to lose people. Because the last thing I want is for the duplicants to die in this last episode or this last stage of completing the quest. So it's landed, and of course, all the data discs that Camille produced, are being used immediately by Travoldo. And we can hopefully complete there that we can. So we've done the pixel ball, which actually is a research that we didn't need. It's just a prerequisite to what we do need. And now we need 250 to complete the monument one. The rest of the research is easy peasy. We have more than enough rad bolts, water, and time, which, as you can see, are all that you need for the other research stations. We just need a crap ton more data discs. And to do so, all we need to do is make sure we've stocked up on plastic, given her a bit of food, but less than before, so that the map can have some. And just send her up. Simple. And then we'll just not forget about her, because of course it's the next stage. I really do need to try and put a exit on that pipe as well for the dirty water, or the polluted water, I should say. I am actually struggling for polluted water to keep my pincho peppers growing. So, yeah. And there's a heat issue in the base, as you can see. The animals aren't happy with it, but to be honest, the animals are way past it. The foxes that give us wood, I just don't need wood. So, yeah, they can swivel. And the behemoths, again, not really needed. It's not really a ranching season, although you needed them at the start. But it's good to know that this still lasted the entire series, right? They're a bit warm, but they're not dying, so... So Camille's back after another 7 days in space. Now, originally about cycle 198, I thought I was close. We're now at cycle 223, so quite a lot of cycles, more than I expected to need, to be honest. But that was just bad planning from me. The mechanics of what we needed to do has been there for a very long time. It's just not one of the completions that I've done before, so it's nice to try all of the different ones. And obviously, a next series that I play will probably be different again. The range cooker is running now. Pepper bread, which is the 60 morale, fantastic, superb level bread food that we've been working towards all this time, is now getting a supply of gas, or natural gas as it's called, again from the area where the oil is, because you get that from there. You can create more by putting an oil well on, but we don't need that much gas nor that much oil, so I haven't bothered doing that, because then you have to deal with all the heat and crap that comes with it. So I've just left it to see how we do. In terms of food, you can see now we're at 132,000 calories, of which 100,000 of that is peppered bread. So the peppered bread is doing fantastic. The guys are all happy, or at least happy enough. And you can see over here, I've capped it off with those doors. Now we have run out, technically, of natural gas for the minute. If we need more, I can make it happen, but I'm just taking it step by step. I'm not building unnecessary things just in case we don't need it, because they need to be doing other things, like building monuments and digging for diamonds. That's going to be useful. To make sure I don't run out of pincho peppers, and more importantly, to make sure I don't run out of the pepper bread, I'm still struggling. The heat-wise is fine. So originally when I started, keeping the room warm enough was the problem. Now, the room being warm enough is not a problem because there's so much excess heat in the base. Anyway, the issue is polluted water. So I'm going to chuck down some showers because I've not built any. But the reason I didn't build them, actually, was because the whole setup I did was 2 tiles high and they didn't fit and it annoyed me. But I've just thrown them in, as you saw there. That means every day they'll have a shower and produce a bit more polluted water, which means more pincho peppers. 35,000 calories, so you can see they are eating them, which means their morale is staying high. But the pincho peppers need to last for us to do the monument as well. In terms of prints, honestly, there's nothing really I need at the minute. So food, just to keep them alive, is more specific. I did chuck some more beds in as well because I'm an idiot, and yes, from the 12th duplicant all the way until just before I built these showers, 2 of them had no beds. I mean, one of them probably squirreled in the rocket when it was landed, but yeah, so I've chucked in as many as I can fit there. I'll get them plumbed in, and that'll just give us a bit of extra polluted water. Nothing more to say about it, really. The bath time's already set up anyway. I've just never actually had these. So I just wanted to bring you back to let you know about that, because polluted water is the resource that I'm struggling for. Which is the first, I think, ever, actually. And once again, cycle 228. Camille is on her own in space, getting the final few units of databanks. I think we need about 20 or so. So yeah, technically I'm overkilling it with what we've got, but I just wanted to make sure. So let's get her down and over to Lightly Travoldo on the machine and see if we can finally unlock the monument. Here we go, no pressure. I think, yeah, we only need like 12. I got more than enough. So we should see 248, 249, and 250, and there we go. We have now unlocked the monument. It was at this point, actually, that I realised all of the resources that I mentioned at the beginning of this episode that we require that I didn't know at that time. So me scrolling down to the monument thinking, yay, oh crap, what's missing? Steel, lots of it. We have a little bit of steel. We found some, and then we got a little bit from the printer. We've never actually had a full setup to make it because I've not needed it, so we don't have any, which is rare because usually it's something I rush to. We need obsidian, we need glass, we need diamonds. So it's at this stage that I realised that we're going to need to do a bit more work. Now for you, we know how to do all of this. In terms of farming diamonds, obsidian, that's just digging, so nobody needs to see that. Glass is the glass thing. We'll have a look at that. And steel is just a simple steel setup that I will just chuck on top of the power plant, to be honest, because there's already a cooling setup there that's managing. It looks good. And this is where it will be. And this is what I came up with. Now, let's be honest. This isn't how you do this. The coolant that you use should be cooled and recycled, right? I'm just not doing that. So petroleum, I tried water. You can see on the right hand side there I brought some water pipes. It failed miserably, as it would do. I hoped it would work once and then I will bin it. So the output just goes straight into the, whatever that thing's called, chute. And into the vacuum of space and it's deleted. But the water's already too warm, so it was turned into steam. So instead I used petroleum, because petroleum will go up to 500 or so degrees before it turns into sour gas. So easily more than able to use the... yeah, to make the steel. And then it bins it. Yes, it's a waste of petroleum, but I already have too much. Anyway, I'm just making it for the sake of it at this point, and it works for this. I am trying to find glass, but of course, as I've mentioned, you can't have glass until you've actually made glass. So I'll be re-rolling for a while, or I won't be, because I'll just get some food instead. desperately digging to points of interest on the map, which they usually have a little bit of glass in the background as a window, or as a roof. Though normally when you build a roof that's the glass clear roof, it's diamond. But anyway, we also need diamonds, so that's not a problem. So digging across here on the surface, yes, I know they don't have atmo suits on. They can hold their breath in the vacuum of space for a little bit. It's not gonna kill them. No, it's not. But you can see here we've got to dig through as well where I've got. So I need to get over to this building now. There's not really that much there that'll help us, but I didn't know that at the time. That again, that glass roof that you can see on there is actually diamond. All I need is one piece of glass in order to do it. You can see on the screen now on the right hand side where I've got my resources saved. I do have 220 kilos of glass because there were places I had where I destroyed the windows. That means that I'm allowed then to use the 3D printer, but it'll only give me a certain amount and I need a lot more. I think I need about 2.5 tons. So we are going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. With the base actually complete, we're struggling now to get the head done, but the central part is doable, and that is the 2 out of 3 parts that we require. I can't speak today, I don't know why. So this is a decent sized monument, right? It's a big building, and it needs a lot of resources, specifically a lot of steel and obsidian. I unlocked that room, as you can see, but there was no glass in there at all. There is, however, diamond in the ceiling, so I'll build a scaffolding to get up there and get that, at the very least. It turns out I was very lucky with where my oil was, and there was a lot of actual raw diamond to dig up anyway. So diamond was never an issue, obsidian was never an issue. Glass is the main delay here. But that's required for the head, so we can at least get the middle section done. Once the plastic's delivered, of course. And the middle section's done. We're having a few issues, though, with the liquids blowing out. The cinnabar, what I used to build stuff by accident, I never actually mean to use it. Let's be clear. The cinnabar, it always seems to default to, I don't want to use cinnabar as a building resource. It's crap. The temperature regulating to it for the heat is terrible. It's mercury at the end of the day, and it's room temperature is a liquid. And it's causing all sorts of problems. And, I mean, in real life, the gas from mercury dioxide, is very poisonous. I don't think that matters in here, though. Although it's just messy, it gives them soggy feet, which reduces their morale, and we need desperately to get their morale to, or keep it at 16, right? So that's the important factor there. You can see we have built the second part. Now we're just waiting on the glass, and we should be good to go. So here's the first step of the glass production here. You can see that little bit going up there. Just sand melted into glass. That glass is about 1500 degrees, I think. It gets piped up to somewhere where it's not a vacuum of space, because I don't want it to delete that liquid. And it makes 25 kilos. We need 2.5 tons, so I'm going to make a few extra ones of those. There is no plan here to sustain this. These would easily overheat in the vacuum of space in time. Using the igneous rock as the pipe will make it last longer as well. But the idea here is to just get it done, right? This isn't going to be going on for 1,000 cycles, 1,500 cycles, or anything like that. I'm hoping it's before 250 cycles. You can see there the heat that's coming off that. I've put a bit of a shield there for the door, just to try and help a little bit. But luckily, as it lands, it immediately turns into solid glass, which is good, because that's all we need. It doesn't matter how hot it is. It will scald them a little bit carrying it, but it's not far enough for anybody to die anyway. Jumping back to the statue, you can see we're close now, 3,200, so we have got over a bit. I got distracted, and the head is now ready to be built. We need to make sure that happens. The 3 of these did their job correctly. I think it took only a cycle or 2, mixed with anything else I could scrap on the way, and any 3D prints, and then 3 of the glass melters. You can see they're delivering most of the resources now. If I'm not mistaken, it takes a lot longer than I wanted, because there was diamonds was taking a while to get delivered, because the diamonds are pretty much at the very bottom of the base. There is a lot of scalding going on here. It's minimal because it's short, but I'm going to have to, you know, do that. They're going to have to sort that one up, Cupcake, because we need to get this done. And just like that, the final piece is delivered, and there you go, the monument is completed. You can change it, the face of it anyway. Not going to bother with that, though. Probably we could have chose like an MVP for the series, but there's no need. So with the monument completed, the game isn't ending. 242 cycles, so still within that remit of 250. You can see the morale is what's missing. Now, that's been up and down. The food itself will push them to that 16 that it needs to be. But what we actually need to do is make sure that everybody's happy. Now, what I'm going to do as a solution to that is I'm going to go on to the schedule. And I'm going to just let them do whatever they want. I'm not going to force them to work. So that if they want to eat, they can immediately. Bath time included, of course. And we'll just wait and see. It shouldn't take too long. We already know that it's been pushing that 60 morale often. So it likely will just need to wait for them to have their feed time. I'm hoping that they're going to stop working now and just chill out and enjoy the fact that the goal has been achieved. From a frozen solid rock to a now quite toasty actual solid. Or, well, I say solid. Not as solid. Hollow rock. There's a lot of exploring to do on this map, a lot of things we could have done that we didn't do, but the end game here was to complete this specific quest, Home Sweet Home, and with a bit of time, I expect that will happen shortly. And yes, just allowing them to eat pushes the limits there over to that 16, and that completes the final checkpoint of Home Sweet Home. And alert, we have completed it. So, we achieved the goal I set out on the beginning of this series. Again, apologies for the delay due to the sickness. I'd like to say that that's not going to happen again, but you can't predict sickness, can you? We are going to do another series. There is a new patch out now for the bionic stuff, which sounds fantastic. But it's going to be on you guys to let me know if you want to see that. So don't forget to like and, more importantly, comment on that. As soon as I see the interest, I will start that new series. There are a couple of other games I'm playing at the minute, Manor Lords and Farming Simulator 2025. But of course, Oxygen Not Included is one of the games that I do play a lot, and I do really enjoy doing the differences to it. If you want anything specific on the next season, make sure you let me know in the comments as well. For now, we are done, we are complete, we've achieved our goal, and we're good to go. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please click like. Any comments are welcome, as always, and significantly help me move in the future. Again, thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.